Stefon Diggs is out of Buffalo. How does this impact your fantasy team? Talk about
Let's go.
it. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode. I'm your host Calvin Timms, and we have, I know it's a couple days late, but some big fantasy news in Stefon Diggs being traded from the Buffalo Bills to the Houston Texans. This deal, there's more and more details coming out as the days go on, but all in all, it looks like the Houston Texans ultimately traded a second-round pick for Stefon Diggs for this year only. They voided the next couple years of his contract. The Buffalo Bills ate a little bit of dead cap to get rid of him. They're paying more now that he's off the team than they were when he was on the team, and big implications for all of the fantasy players on both sides. So we're going to talk about that here today. Before we get into that, if you can, please like, comment, and subscribe. If you're new to the channel, thanks for checking this video out. And if you're one of our returning people, we appreciate you guys as well. So make sure you guys subscribe to the channel so you get all of our content. We're going to have a lot more coming up. And follow us on Twitter at TDC_Calvin, at FF After Dark. My co-host at Dynasty_Dale if you want to follow him. All right, let's talk about the dynasty value of these guys, or just the regular, redraft value. And we'll start with the man himself, Stefon Diggs. Currently, and this is, say what you will about trade calculators. I'm not here for that debate here today, guys. But Stefon Diggs is currently ranked the wide receiver 33. He saw no change whatsoever after he got traded from Josh Allen to CJ Stroud. So I think most of the community and the public, they feel about the same as they did before with Stefon Diggs. Now, Stefon Diggs is older. People are looking at him and he's 30 years old. He'll be 31 this upcoming season. I'm a little curious to see what the end result of this is going to be, because I actually like Stefon Diggs for this upcoming season. I'm going to tell you why. If you go back, and this is what everyone is pointing to, well, after week 6 of last year, he didn't have another 100-yard game. I mean, he had a 70, 86, 74, but you have to remember they also went from Ken Dorsey to the new offensive coordinator, whose name is slipping my mind, Joe Brady, I believe it is, and the entire offense changed. Josh Allen was perfectly fine in the new offense, but none of the wide receivers were really that good. Even, everyone loves to bag on Gabe Davis, but is it the offense or is it the players? We saw many games where Gabe Davis is absolutely able to destroy people and eat up all the space, and then the next week, literally no targets, no catches, nothing. So to me, that's more of an offensive system issue than it is a player system issue. So I think Stefon Diggs still has a little bit left in the tank, and he was getting a ton of volume. I do think he's kind of a prima donna here, and I'm not saying that Diggs is perfect or anything like that, but I do think that he has some left in the tank. Everyone's saying, well, he wasn't even good after week 6. Well, it was okay. He wasn't terrible. He didn't absolutely kill you. He hurt you a lot badly, but there were weeks where he would pop off here and there. You take him down to Houston, and I think it's going to be, they're paying him a lot of money. They're paying him $20 million this year. The other two guys, Tank Dell and Nico Collins, Tank is coming off the leg injury. Nico Collins, they aren't paying him. He's on the final year of his contract. I think he's worth like $1 million. So he's really got no skin in the game. $19 million, they're going to feature Stefon Diggs, and he wants to show out as well because it means he gets paid next year. The dynasty value, what is Stefon Diggs worth? And the biggest thing is, you look at the players going around him, Hollywood Brown, Cooper Kupp, Amari Cooper, all the older guys, except Hollywood is not super old. Rashee Rice is another guy. A late 2026 first. Like, come on, guys, what are we doing here? So if you can get Stefon Diggs for a second-round pick, like top half second-round pick, I think that's entirely worth it. And I think people are willing to move on from him. I think people are very scared. Unless you find the one guy in your league that is a big Stefon Diggs stan, you could probably get him for an early second-round pick, mid-second-round pick. Maybe you have to throw a little bit of fluff in there, a third or whatever, 2 seconds. But Stefon Diggs could definitely be yours for a second-round pick. I don't think you need a first. I think he's going to outproduce that value. And the reason why I would want to target Stefon Diggs is wide receiver 33. I could see him getting, again, another, probably last year he had 160 targets, even though he was not great. He finishes the wide receiver 9. A lot of it had to do with the first few games of the year, not so much the back half, but he gets about 150, 160 targets. I think with CJ Stroud at the helm, he's not going to be as mobile as Josh Allen, so there's going to be a lot more opportunity for touchdowns. And if you look at CJ Stroud last year, he missed a couple games, but had 4,100 yards, 23 touchdowns. That touchdown number is going to go up. I think it's going to be around 30, 35 this upcoming year. You guys are crazy on your evaluations of CJ Stroud, by the way. I like CJ Stroud, but when we bump him up as high as we are, it's hard to eventually you got to fade these guys. There's no way he can live up to quarterback number 3 in fantasy. I like him. I think he's a top 10 real life quarterback in the league right now, but fantasy quarterback number 3, come on. There's no way. He has to be throwing for 40 touchdowns a year. He threw 23 this last year. That's a big projection. And I get it. Diggs helps, but man. So let's say he gets around 30, 35. That's an extra 12, 7 to 12 touchdowns. A lot of those are going to be going to Stefon Diggs, and a lot of the yardage, 4,500 yards, I think is definitely in the realm of possibilities this upcoming year. And I could see Stefon Diggs going for, 120 catches and about 1,400, 1,500 yards. So I think Stefon Diggs is going to be a very, very good fantasy asset this upcoming year and is going to be extremely cheap because everybody loves the players that are already there on Houston. They're saying you're going from Josh Allen, who is the fantasy quarterback number 1, but not necessarily the real life quarterback number 1. So I think there's going to be a little bit of a discount on Stefon Diggs. Now, the guy that he's leaving behind, and I think has the biggest potential spike in value, is going to be Dalton Kincaid. I don't think Josh Allen is going to be changing whatsoever. I think he was just fine before Joe Brady took over this offense, and he was just fine after. So Josh Allen was going to get his points. He's going to have his rushing ability. He's got Dalton Kincaid. They brought in Curtis Samuel. I could see them adding another wide receiver or trading for like a Brandon Ayuk, for example. Maybe a Cortland Sutton from Denver if they really want to move on from him and really start this rebuild. But I think they're going to add another guy, whether it's via trade or whether it's via draft. They're adding another guy. So Josh Allen is going to be just fine. Maybe it's a little bit less than what we have expected from Josh Allen, but Josh Allen has been a top 3 quarterback in Dynasty and Fantasy for the last 4 years. So maybe this is the year that he's going to fall down to like 7 or 8. Oh no, out the horror, right? But Dalton Kincaid is going to have a lot of opportunity. Last year as a rookie, he had 91 targets and 73 catches. And as a rookie tight end to be getting those numbers is very impressive. Yardage wasn't great, only 673 yards, but I could see him following a TJ Hawkinson type of line where, first year was good for Hawkinson still, but the next year is where it really exploded. I could see him having around 120, 130 targets this upcoming year. And again, he's got good hands. Dalton Kincaid has very good hands. He wasn't my tight end 1 last year, but he was number 2, and it's because of his hands. He's very good. He's a very natural pass catcher compared to some of these guys that are just more athletes and after the catch kind of guys. Dalton Kincaid, soft hands, 120 targets. Let's say he catches around 95 of those. You keep the same yards per target, yards per catch, and that's around 1,000 yards. And I think that the touchdown number could come up a little bit as well. Only 2 touchdowns this last year. Big opportunity for Dalton Kincaid. And if you're in tight end premium or anything like that, I think getting him as quickly as you can. Before this news, he was the tight end number 6. After this news, just a couple days later, and again, this is all according to Keep Trade Cut, so take it with a grain of salt, but a big bump up in his value, and what the public perceives him as is the tight end number 4. I could see that going up as well. Brock Bowers is still ahead of him. Trey McBride, Sam Laporta. I could see him going above Bowers, especially if Bowers goes to a bad landing spot, air quote, bad landing spot. And Trey McBride, if they add Marvin Harrison Jr. and let's say they add another wide receiver in round 2, let's say they go back to back first and second round wide receivers in Atlanta because they really need to. McBride will drop a little bit. So Kincaid, I think he has a ceiling here of about tight end number 2. He'll never get to 1 just because of what Laporta did last year, but there's still some potential value, and I think that the floor is catching up to Kincaid in terms of the market. So go and get Kincaid while you can. I do think he's going to live up to that this upcoming year. All right, now the Houston side. It's good for them. I think it's great for them. A lot of people are crapping on the trade like, oh, you gave up a second round pick for 1 year rental. Like, I saw somebody on Twitter saying that, oh, it's a top 50 pick. I don't know that. Like, they made the playoffs this last year. If it was this year, it would have been a bot outside the top 50. What player are you going to get that's going to have a bigger impact today than Stefon Diggs? They can still re-sign Stefon Diggs next year. Everyone's saying, oh, they voided all his contract. Yeah, he has to prove it, Is he washed or not? That's why they did that. So I like it a lot for the Houston side. The pass catchers are going to be interesting. And again, CJ Stroud, I think that he's guaranteed top 10 this year, in my opinion, as long as he stays healthy. But number 3 overall, again, what are we doing, guys? This is absolutely crazy. There's no justification for why he should be that high. He has no rushing threat at all, guys, like at all. I like CJ Stroud, but you guys are making me into a hater because you guys are pumping his value up way too high. This is why I sold him in a couple of leagues, actually, just because value was too good, because he finished as the quarterback 11 last year. How much higher is he going to go? Like, with no rushing ability, how much higher will he go? So that's the only thing with CJ Stroud. I like him. He's going to be good, but good as people are saying. So if you have Stroud, consider selling him. That'd be my recommendation. If you can get Burrow in a first for Stroud right now, I think that's pretty valuable. Or Caleb Williams in a first for Stroud, I think it's definitely worth it. All right, now going to the receiver side. Tank Dell. I don't think Tank Dell is going to be fully 100% this year. And this is one of the things I've been talking about with Tank Dell that I'm a little nervous about, is people are just kind of, crowning him as, he'll come back to right where he was before. He's going to come back from his injury and he'll be on fire still. And anybody that's been on a streak or on a roll kind of knows this isn't how it works, right? And I'm trying to think of the best way to describe this to you guys. You can't just instantly go back to where you were before. And it's not saying that Tank Dell doesn't have the ability or the talent or anything like that, but the dude was playing out of his mind for, the first half of the season as a rookie. It's not guaranteed that he's going to ever be able to get back there to the same level that he was playing at before. He can. I'm not saying that he can't either, but it's just crazy to think that, he was averaging about 20 points a game for the last month before he had the injury. That's a lot of points, guys. But that said, he is currently less valued than his counterpart, Nico Collins, who had the back half of the year come on. But ultimately, Nico Collins was not that much better while they were on the field together. It was once Tank Dell went down that Nico saw the big bump. Nico had some games early in the season. Started off 14, 28, 5, 36, 6, 12, 7, 14. It was like an every other week kind of thing. Tank Dell goes down 13, 24, 35, 13, 16, 35. Like, it was a lot more consistent after Tank Dell went out of there. So I do not think that Nico Collins is going to be able to maintain that consistency, especially with Stefon Diggs, who will be a much bigger target hog, and Tank Dell, who had a leg injury. I think he broke his leg, if I remember correctly. And I don't know if it has this really quickly. But he had the leg fracture. That's right. So he broke his leg last year. He should be back fully healthy by the start of this upcoming season. It's not something you have to worry about like an ACL where it's, you got to learn to trust yourself again like that. It's just, he broke his leg. He'll get it strong again and he'll be back. So all three of these guys are going to be on the field to start the year. Tank Dell, I think he's going to probably average around 8 targets a game. Stefon Diggs will probably get around 9 to 10 targets a game, and then Nico will get whatever's left of that, so about 6 to 8 on average. It's not great, especially when Nico Collins is the higher valued. And I was listening to the fantasy footballers, and they were saying, a late first for Nico Collins. No, keep Nico. And I don't know, man. Like, it depends which wide receiver you're getting, but he's in the same tier. He's wide receiver number 21, ahead of DK Metcalf, Zay Flowers, Tank Dell, some of the other guys that he's going ahead of. It's hard for me to value him that highly, given 1/2 of a year of production, really. And, he finishes the wide receiver 12, but first year, wide receiver 86, 14 games, 33 catches in 14 games as a rookie. In year 2 as a sophomore, he played 10 games, so a little over half, but again, 37 catches, not even that many. This last year, 80 catches, big bump up there. I don't know if that's going to be, he played 15 games as well, 109 targets. I think he can live with that, but with Stefon Diggs here, I just don't see him finishing as a top 12 guy yet again. On the flip side, though, you got Tank Dell, who was wide receiver 39 with 11 games. He had 47 catches for 709 yards. You continue what he was doing, he would have had probably around 80 catches, same as Nico, for much higher yardage, about double the yardage. So, double his yardage, not Nico's. Sorry. So he would have been the better player. He had 7 touchdowns in 11 games, where Nico had 8 on the whole season. Again, Nico came on strong in the playoffs and things like that, but I just don't see why Nico Collins should be higher rated than Tank Dell. Makes no sense to me. And then you throw Stefon Diggs into this group, and it's just going to depress Nico more than Tank, in my opinion. So that's my take on these guys. If I had Nico Collins, I'd definitely be looking to sell. And you can probably sell for a first plus. I'm not saying you just go and say, 110 for Nico Collins. Sure, I'll take that. No, you can go and get some other guys. Like, if you can go and get DJ Moore, who I know people are down on right now. Keep Trade Cut has him at wide receiver 18. Not a big difference, but if you can trade Nico Collins for DJ Moore straight up right now, I think DJ Moore is a top 12 guy, even with a rookie Caleb Williams. I do not care. I think that this DJ Moore is going to be massively undervalued yet again. If you can trade Nico for DK Metcalf plus, again, I'm all aboard that. Zay Flowers plus, some of the other guys in that range. Kyle Pitts. I would much rather have Kyle Pitts this upcoming year than Nico Collins personally, but yeah, so I like it a lot. I like what they did. I think that Nico is being overvalued. I've been thinking that for a while. He got up to wide receiver number 14, like in Dynasty, off of 1 year of good rankings. There's a lot of players. Michael Pittman, there's a lot of players that should be up there ahead of Nico Collins. You add in the rookies, the 3 big dogs. There's no way. There is no way. Conversely, Tank Dell, wide receiver 20 has been his floor. After the Diggs trade, he kind of dropped down a few more spots to 24. But again, JSN, George Pickens, Deebo Samuel, these are all guys going after Tank Dell. And if you could trade Nico Collins for Tank Dell straight up, I'd rather have Tank. So that tells you kind of where I am with these two players. Go and get a value on Tank Dell while you can. Go get a value on Stefon Diggs. Sell out of Nico Collins. For the love of goodness gracious, sell out of CJ Stroud. It's not sustainable, guys. That's definitely not sustainable. So there's my take on the Stefon Diggs trade. Everybody that's involved, let me know your thoughts down below. If I am crazy, if I'm overlooking something, but I do think that Stefon Diggs has a little bit left in the tank, and I would be very happy for him for a 2nd round pick. So that's my thoughts on Diggs. If I'm way off in my evaluations here, let me know. But according to Keep Trade Cut, I'm probably pretty close, and that does not mean anything for your league specifically, but you can let me know how off I am. Again, on Twitter at TDC_Calvin. The podcast is at FF After Dark. Subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, like the video, whatever you can, just helps us out. We appreciate you guys. And until next time, have a good night.
We all got dreams, we all want things. But what you gonna do for it? How you gonna move for it? What you gonna